I'm at the Golf Industry Show in San Diego. It's 2019. This is the GCSAA TV live stage here, brought to you by Lebanon Turf. And I'm with my good old friend, Wisconsinite Mike Huck, the 2019 recipient of the USGA Green Section Award. And Mike, and we're in your neck of the woods. Congratulations, first of all, on the award. And what a great deal it must have been for Kimberly to make the call to say to you, what was that like when you heard about getting this award?
Oh gosh, when I got the phone call, I had no idea why Kimberly was calling. And she's making small talk, how you doing, how's things going, and all this, and I'm like, oh, she needs me to speak at a meeting somewhere or something, you know, and she said, I'm just sorting out some loose ends here at Golf House, and I want to let you know you won the Green Section Award, and I just kind of stopped and froze, and I had no idea.
It's so great.
And I said, you know, I a little bit feel like my old boss, Bill Benjafield, who was a national director, and they gave him the award one year that shouldn't be eligible being a past employee of the USGA. And she said, oh, don't worry, it's got nothing to do with being an agronomist on staff.
Yeah, thankfully you were terrible an agronomist, right?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
But you've done such great work since. Now, one of the things we were talking off stage that must have been cool was when it gets announced, right? It gets announced. So tell what's that like?
Well, they set it up to get a photographer to come out, take pictures for the announcement. So I knew it was coming, but I didn't know when exactly. And I got an email on a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. And for the next 2.5 days, all I did was respond to emails, phone calls, text messages, Twitter messages, Facebook messages. I could not believe the people that sent me a congratulatory message.
And of course, it's a measure of your impact. Now, I thought you told me, did you bother to look at who's gotten this award?
Oh gosh,
that's a pretty good list of names there.
I looked at that list of names, and I looked at people that I've looked to in the industry, locally, nationally, and things like that as the leaders. And I just could not believe I'm going to be added to that list. That was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and so big congratulations for that. And you got it, I would say, because from the minute you left the USGA that I sort of knew, you immediately got involved in one of the single most important issues that's facing our industry, and that's water.
Yeah.
Right? Starting with, how do we get the water applied in a uniform way, right, that is using it most efficiently? So talk a little bit about your early entry back into the business from your time as a schleppy agronomist with the green section.
Well, my whole intention was that there wasn't enough focus being put on water by anybody, and I knew that California, it was just a matter of when and not if we're going to enter a drought, and the golf industry is going to be impacted. So I knew there was a niche to carve there. I knew there was other things I could be doing too, if need be, and I figured if it didn't work out and we didn't have a drought in time, I'd go back being a superintendent somewhere.
Okay.
We had a drought in time, so, but no, all kidding aside, actually, I started out working with full coverage irrigation, which is now distributed by Underhill Company. Their nozzles, their aftermarket nozzles for improving older systems.
Right.
I was doing a lot of work with recycled water sites and engineering firms that are retrofitting golf courses.
Right.
And along that way, the whole thing kind of kicked off with my social media presence and stuff right here in San Diego about 10 or 15 years ago. The state water board or the regional water board down here was going to put the one molecule rule in effect on recycled water, where if one drop left your property and got in the storm sewer and polluted the ocean, you're going to be held liable for a fine.
Okay.
And I called up a contact I had at the San Diego County Water Authority and said, is this for real? And she said, yeah. And I said, would it do any good to rally the troops and show up at a meeting or something and raise the roof a little bit? She says, it's certainly not going to hurt. So we got an email list going of superintendents down to San Diego and South Orange County.
This is pre-Twitter. This is pre-much of those things, right?
Yeah, and we got a group of superintendents go down there, and we had actually American Golf Corporation sent one of their attorneys they had on retainer, and he spoke for the group, and the board, who are volunteers that are picked by the governor to serve, turned to the staff and said, you need to re-examine this. And I learned a valuable lesson right there, that you got to get involved early before the rules are made.
Right.
And so this rule hadn't been finalized yet.
So right out of your work with the USGA, you get yourself involved in advocating for a really important issue for the industry. And I got to believe when Pat Gross nominated you for this, that was part of his package, that you were able to lead people through what was a really important issue that if we didn't get that would have really hurt the industry down here.
I assume that probably all had something to do with it, plus everything I did through the drought. I became one of the spokespeople for the state that was referred to. I got calls from Associated Press writers. I got calls from television news. I got all kinds of interviews.
So we're really grateful that we got somebody who knows what he's talking about, that people are calling and you're representing our industry, right? So that's enough talking about how great it is being you these days. Well, let's talk about water. And you know, we're in your neck of the woods, and of course we come from the Northeast. What does it do? It rains. Yeah. Thank you very much. I had enough of that where I am. Talk a little bit about how the water issues have developed in Southern California since you had that meeting. You've obviously stayed involved. It's been an informed process. You're a Twitter phenom, right? You're absolutely a Twitter phenom. And so how has it evolved from a water perspective, from your perspective?
Well, it's basically goes back even to a drought that started about 20 years ago on the Colorado River that a lot of people didn't even recognize was going on.
Right.
And Lake Mead and Lake Powell have been down to where you can see the pictures now. They publicize it more. Been down so far you can see the big bathtub ring of calcium carbonate around it. And I drove out there about 15 or so years ago, just get pictures of it, thinking this will come to an end soon. Well, it never has. Then when the drought hit California itself in the Sierra Nevada region, and our reservoirs were down a few years back, it just made it all that much more obvious that we needed to be paying closer attention. I've also read several books on the matter, Cadillac Desert being one of my favorites. Okay. It's old and it's a bit dated, but it tells the whole story about water development in the West, construction of all these reservoirs, the vision for everything, and all that. And so that's kind of been my guidance.
And when I think of how that translates into this industry, right? Obviously, I come from an area where it's virtually unheard of that you pay any kind of money for water that you feel. You know, you pay maybe for the electricity, and maybe you pay these little bit of withdrawal fees here and there, but you rarely see people more than 4 or 5 figures, right? 5 figures would be unusual where I'm from. It's the norm out here to pay 6 figures or 7 figures for water, right? So when you have that kind of money involved, you know, that sounds like a lot of money, but we were laughing about your bottle of water, you know, as we were getting ready, and you know I'm going to want to talk about water when we come out. So golf course superintendents could spend $100,000 a month on water. What are they paying on a per acre foot basis?
Per acre foot basis it's really bizarre. It runs the gamut. It'll run down in the desert, Palm Springs area, it's $175 or thereabouts.
Okay.
Get over here on the coast, you're $1,500 to $2,500 an acre foot. You get up into the Bay Area, you get $3,500 to $4,500
So it goes
an acre
from
foot.
as little as $175 in a desert to 300.
That goes back to some of the politics of California. We have this thing called Prop 2. I forget the number now.
Well, you guys just make them up and vote on them as you go.
We do, and that's the problem. That's a big problem, but we won't go there. But they can't charge you more than it costs to serve you a utility, and water being one of those utilities on that list. And down in the desert, it's groundwater primarily, and then they import Colorado River water to recharge the groundwater. So basically, you're paying for the cost to lift it, or the cost to import it and pump it from the river.
So that's at $175,
right?
And all the way to $3,700. How much does that bottle of water cost you?
$10 million. I did the math while we were waiting back there, and it's just over a pint. It was $4, $32 a gallon times 326,000 gallons roughly in an acre foot. $10 million.
Okay, so we talked about sort of your career. There's a lot to talk about the environment. Now that you're an award winner and, you know, you got the color hair you and I are getting of, you know, and we're looking at closer to the change, you know, the transition, the end of our sort of active careers and our other careers behind. What would you say at a golf industry show? What would you say to people of what you see moving forward from your perspective? Now that you're this wise Green Section Award winner, what are the kinds of things you imagine we're going to be faced with moving forward?
Oh, I think the continued push to be using secondary quality or worse waters is going to pressure the industry. I think the industry has to keep moving forward with salt-tolerant grasses and things like that. They're going to be able to tolerate this type of stuff because it's a function of soil drainage as much as it is the water quality.
So let's talk about that. You think we're going to get to the point where they're going to have to say, I can't grow this grass anymore here with this water and change the grass?
It may be a point where they can't afford to grow it because of the cost of the water. Our water costs double every 10 years in Southern California.
Oh.
That's the number that all the water districts will tell you.
Is that starting to lighten the golf course number? Are we seeing golf courses not stay in business because of that yet?
Well, yes, and the decline in activity of golfers, the decline in greens fees and the popularity of the...
Well, the economics of
Yeah.
golf. I mean, golf would you say it's thriving in Southern California or it's just sort of maintaining?
Well, we've lost, there was an article I posted a few months back on Twitter, talked about 15 golf courses down here in the San Diego County area that have been closed over the years. It's a driver. It's one of those things that breaks your back because you got to pay for it whether you got one guy out there or no guys out there if you want to keep the golf course alive.
That's right.
And so that's the big thing. It's like you look at some of these courses in Phoenix and Vegas that are paying $1 million a year. Think about that at 50,000 rounds, that's $20 a head.
Just for the water.
For the water. And you haven't even started the greens mowers yet.
That's correct. So obviously you're seeing that the economics are going to be more challenging. We're at a place where we're surrounded by a plethora of technology. What are you liking that you see here you'd like to see more guys doing on the technology end?
Well, I think as time goes by and the cost of technology always seems to fall over time, I think we're going to see more and more soil sensing units and things like that can be permanently installed. Maybe one per sprinkler head or two per sprinkler head that'll kind of manage things or at least give you more feedback.
So getting that data is going to change a little bit. What about head design? I'm looking at some of the heads, they're coming in these boxes now that you've got to put in the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
everything's protected. Can. Yeah, that whole deal. Is that stuff is it changing a lot?
Head designs change. They continue to strive to create better and better nozzling because really the nozzles and the sprinkler in combination, because there's a function of the two of them working together. It's not just one or the other all the time, but the two of them working together, distribute water uniformly is so critical to saving water. And I think that's where the manufacturers are focusing their efforts. Right. The other stuff, the peripheral stuff, put them in the big box so they're easily to service, and that's a function of just maintenance.
That's right.
But as far as performance and conservation, it's really internal, and a lot of people don't even recognize that's going on because that goes on behind the scenes.
That's right. So listen, we got to wrap it up here. How did the folks in Wisconsin take this great award? Sure, there was quite a brat and a beer shared around there.
My two brothers are golfers, but they don't recognize what this means in the turf industry.
Oh, bring them to the award ceremony. They'll see all the other fancy.
So to explain this to them, I said, this is like winning the U.S. Open of turf grass, guys. Right. And I said, or more appropriately stated, the senior U.S. Open of turf grass.
In your case.
So, in my case, yeah.
So listen, nothing but the best of health for you. Congratulations on this award.
Thank you again.
I have a feeling it might not be the last award that you actually received, but I have to say, just to watch your career transition from the USGA, which was, of course, esteemed. I really enjoyed it.
Not according to Kimberly.
and now your impact with really one of the most important resources that we deal with, Mike. I hope you have a more career ahead of you and that you enjoy the rest of the show in San Antonio soon.
Yep. San Antonio, I think it's the 23rd. Last Saturday in February, I get the award.
Mike Huck, the award winner of the United States Golf Association Green Section Award winner, here with me in Southern California, a longtime pal, Wisconsinite. This is Frank Rossi. I'm here at the Golf Industry Show 2019 in San Diego. This is the GCSAA TV live stage presented by Lebanon Turf. We'll be right back.